One tricking has been a very common thing in the Valorant community, and honestly a lot of people have been talking about it as if it's a good thing, because the idea is that, well, with one tricking you can kind of become the best at this one agent, and therefore, you know, your success rate in Valorant, just I guess in general, is just going to be higher, when that's really not true. So this is coming from me, who I've filled all the way up until Radiant, so I am completely fine with playing pretty much every single agent, because it just wasn't that hard, and I did it all the way until Radiant. Although I will say that generally, with a caveat, generally falls upon smokes, right? Because most people don't want to play smokes. Well, if we kind of include the fact that smokes is one of the harder roles to create that impact on, I think it's safe to say at the very bare minimum, I could play all the other agents to at least an Immortal 2 level without much issue. So in this video, we're going to talk about the big issues with one tricking and why you should kind of stop doing it. All right, to start off, let's kind of talk about the issues with one tricking. Issues with one tricking. All right, so the issues is you suck at certain maps. This is just because the agent is bad. So let's say you're a Raze main. Breeze sucks. Nade doesn't get very much value. Roomba has to travel long distances before it can even see anyone. Your satchels might get you a little bit of speed, but in general doesn't that help that much. You don't have that many close ranges, so your ult probably isn't even guaranteed a lot of time. You just don't have a lot to work with there. So you're a Raze main and you encounter Breeze, you kind of just suck, right? You'll find this with certain agents that it's just not meta. We're gonna go over what agents are generally meta in just a little bit, so just stay tuned for that. And then we're gonna talk about like Breach, which is good on Fracture, pretty non-used at other maps. And yeah, so you suck at certain maps. You don't allow your teammates to play other agents. If your other teammate is good on Raze, right? Teammate is also Raze one trick. What do? You can't really do anything. You're just kind of screwed. You guys kind of just both switch to an agent that you guys both suck at. So one takes the Raze, yeah. But if you spent the time to learn other agents, and yes, let's say that reduces your skill level in the Raze because you're not one tricking her, I'll explain later why that's okay. You are screwed. Okay. And then another argument for this one that you don't allow your teammates is that, like, oh well, why can they be a Raze one trick and I can't? I'm not saying you can't. My point is that you define your own ranked games, and the only element that you can ever control is yourself. So yeah, you can go blame your teammate for being a one trick. You can blame your other teammates for not doing what they should be doing. But in reality, the only thing you can really control is yourself. If you become the opportunity where it's like, okay, it's okay if you suck at it, I can pick up for the slack. Therefore, you can run what you're good at. Well, then your success rate will just be higher. And the last thing is you don't learn if you one trick. So the issue is that when you play other agents, you understand their tendencies. So if you think about it, right? You play Raze, we're gonna use Raze in this example. You know that there's a hookah, Roomba that they like to follow up behind. So if you hear it, you can break it, maybe you molly right after because you understand the mindset. You see a Raze have ult, you understand that, oh, they're gonna want a double satchel, or what timing they would like to pop their ult. At a very basic understanding, you probably just think that, oh, they're just gonna pop it right off the rip. When the barriers drop, they're just gonna run in and satchel in. But as you get higher up in the ranks, you have to start understanding that that's not always the case anymore. And they're looking for specific cues when they want to pop ult. Another example is Brimstone, right? You might be looking for where the Brimstone is going to be playing. Like if he has ult, maybe he's gonna be playing post plant. These are stuff that doesn't come to you very, let's say, unconsciously, and requires you to actively think, because you don't play these agents. The moment you start expanding your agent pool, you start understanding the cues that other players are going to be looking for when they play that agent a lot. They play Brimstone a lot, you understand that they're playing ult. If you don't see him within the first couple seconds of tapping the spike, then you can automatically start assuming that he's probably playing farther back. Maybe you get an early push off, he doesn't expect you to be up there so fast, and all of a sudden you kill him before he even gets the molly down. Playing these other agents will teach you way more, way faster than just watching these other agents play, and that's something that you want to keep in mind. So with that being said, that is the issues with one tricking. Let's talk about the meta comps. All right, so here are the meta comps. This is my own personal opinion. This is based off of my own matchmaking, especially at the high Immortal, like Immortal 3 top 1000 level. And then also just watching a lot of pro play. It's going to be more focused around the fact that it's ranked, because probably a lot of you guys that are watching are not pros, so let's focus on the ranked aspect. But yeah, so if we just take a look at the agents, we'll notice that, hey, Jet and Chamber are the ones that are most common, as well as Fade / Sova. These are very, very common. So in that case, basically what you'll notice that unless you play Chamber or Jet, likely, you'll find that you probably won't have that specific agent be good for that map. So with those two agents, which are by far the most common agents that you'll see in ranked, also the ones that people will be fighting for over the most, because Chambers and Jets are just a dime a dozen. You can literally find them everywhere. You'll find that the other three roles are what requires people to fill in. Not saying that you can't be good on Chamber, you can't play Jet. Yes, you can, but mixing in two other agents will allow you to be more flexible. So now we're going to continue talking about if you don't one trick, you'll be worse at X, right? So this is a common argument where it's like, oh, if I don't sink all my hours into Raze / Chamber / whatever, then I will suck compared to someone who does. All right, so this is my issue with this argument. You can get 90% of value from an agent with minimal time. So I don't really have a definition for minimal, but what I am saying that is that from just playing the game, watching other agents play, and throwing in a couple games or like a act for yourself to actually run this agent, sometimes you will understand 90% of it. The 10% is what you will likely not get from just filling them. We'll say 100 hours gets you that 90%. We'll make up some arbitrary 100%, and that's probably more than 100 hours because you're starting to get into the nitty gritty. So we'll say 300 hours or like 1,000 hours, right? If you could get 90% of the value from the 100 hours, you could have, let's say, this is an arbitrary number, 3 agents at 90% value rather than 1 at 100%. So yes, you could say that I am better on this agent, but now you've sacrificed the fact that you could have known 3 other agents with the same amount of effort and same amount of time. In this case, let's say your other agents are at 70%, right? And you have 100%. This is all hypothetical, but it's understandable that this is likely a logical statement. So you have 3 agents at 90% versus 100% and 2 70%. You're going to find that this will gain more value over the long course of your ranked grind than this. And then the last thing I want to mention is what if the meta changes? And this has shifted a lot. So let's talk about the initial first meta of the game during beta, which is double duelist. List 1 initiator, 1 smoke, 1 sentinel, right? Then there's like second meta, which was double controller, but this was never common in ranked. It's mostly in pro play. 1 initiator, 1 sentinel, 1 duelist. And then we'll talk about this meta, which is double initiator / triple, and then you'll run a controller and then a senti, mostly chamber. All right, so you're gonna see that everyone has a focus on a different agent. If you stick with one, for example, right now it's just chamber. If chamber gets nerfed, which it has recently, you will find your efficiency goes down. If you're playing this duelist role and that got taken over by chamber, yes, you would switch to chamber as the natural progression, but so will every other duelist. So therefore, you would likely need to be part of this double initiator / triple initiator meta that is currently going on. And to do that, if you haven't played Sky or KO, you're going to find that transition a little bit harder. It's not about fragging, it's about the thought process. There's entire play styles for every agent that you won't understand unless you've actually played it. So to counter meta change, just diversify. Play other agents and you will be okay. So with that being said, I hope that I covered a lot of the issues that you guys wanted to see and talk about. If you guys have any other thoughts, leave them down in the comment section below. These are my genuine thoughts, and I'd love to have a thoughtful conversation down there. I am completely open to someone else also suggesting something that I might not have thought of. If you want to check out my stream, I stream 3 days a week at twitch.tv/FlowShizzle. And if you want to check out my content, I have links all down in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.